Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think part of the intention of the motion is actually to start the conversation that we're starting right here in these Council of Chambers and acknowledge that there's going to be some challenges, acknowledge that we have a big city that has very different neighbourhoods that we need to take in consideration, that this is not the panacea that is going to solve all the housing issues, being affordable or not affordable. There's the discussions that need to happen. But it is an acknowledgement that we need to talk about 70% of the land in this city. And it's also an acknowledgement that people are living differently nowadays. They lived differently in the 30s, they lived differently in the 60s and 70s, and they're living differently today. You know, I remember when I first came to Canada, around my neighbourhood, most people had 2-3 apartments in their houses. Nowadays, most families are coming in, they're taking down those apartments and doing single-family homes. But a lot of them are also saying, no, we actually want to continue to live in the neighbourhood. So how can we protect some of that stock? Can we have small walk-ups that can be done as well? So how do you actually address the different ways that people are living when you have 70% of the land that you can barely touch, with over 2 million bedrooms empty, that we also have an aging population that we have to bring into this equation, with a whole lot of housing stock in there that we need to bring to the conversation? So I think this is the beginning of an interesting conversation that we need to have in the city, but it is something that it is happening. And what concerns me the most is that a lot of us have these in our areas, and a lot of us say, no, we can't deal with this, wink, wink, it's not happening in my area. And then we hear of stories that go to Committee of Adjustment, for example, a triplex in Scarborough that was not approved at Committee of Adjustment, even though it had 40 letters of support from that community. And what had happened? They have to dehouse one of the families that live there, take a door out, so it becomes legal. And let me tell you about the last couple of weeks, just in my area. So one street had a body shop. Body shop closes down. The owner comes and says, I'm interested in doing a small walk-up with 12 apartments. You know what he's told? No, sever the land and do 2 semis to fit with the character of the neighborhood. This is 12 rental apartments. Next, Dufferin Street, 300 meters north of Dufferin Station. Small walk-up, 8 units. You know what he's told? He needs 7 parking spots. Can't do it. Next one, at Committee of Adjustment 2 days ago, 1 variance, a front entrance to the basement. You know what we did? We did a report to refuse that unit. This is in my area. Dufferin Street, a body shop, if you call that character of the neighborhood, and a basement apartment. Together, you're talking about 21 units that we could easily have it, that people can live in our neighborhoods. Because for me, I think it becomes also a matter of equity. Because a lot of people, and I say this about myself, I wouldn't be able to afford my house today. I have a basement apartment, and that helps, with the expenses. And a lot of families like ours look back and saying, you know what, I would love to have my kids living in here, I could do a laneway housing, I have my aging parents that could do a triplex. We need to understand that these challenges exist, that we have 70% of our city that has this land that people are thinking about, you know what, I could actually use it to live in a different way, that I would be okay with it. So let's acknowledge that. Let's have these conversations with our residents. Let's start that conversation, because people are feeling these challenges. So can we cooperate? Can we make it that it's easier? Can the city be part of the solution with them? It's not imposing on them, but it's saying, we understand that there's different ways to live in our city. We understand that people want to keep living in their neighborhoods. They want their kids to be able to live in their neighborhoods. And if that is to happen, we can't just think about 80 stories and single-family detached homes. We need to find ways to bring other kind of stock. And that's the conversation that we're going to need to have. Will it have challenges? Absolutely. Land value speculation is an issue. This absolutely will not solve affordable housing. Councillor Perks is absolutely right. I often say this. You cannot solve affordable housing or the housing crisis by building your way out of it but you can also not doing it by subsidizing your way out of it. You need both these solutions at the table. You need to find ways that you work with the population of Toronto to acknowledge that they have different ways of living and not wanting to impose it on them, but actually work with them to acknowledge that.
Thank you.